Welcome to another deep dive. Today, we're tackling a question you might not have expected. Does cutting your hair actually affect your spirituality? We're going to be looking at some really fascinating cultural and spiritual beliefs about hair from our source material today to see what we can uncover.
Hair is so common, but it's really interesting to think about how important it's been in so many cultures, and not just for how it looks.
Absolutely. And our source really jumps into that, talking about hair as this spiritual antenna, picking up vibes. Like in yogic and psychic practices, they believe hair is a conduit for energy, helping us connect to something bigger than ourselves. What are your thoughts on that?
Well, think about the Sikhs, for instance. They have this practice, quiche, where they never cut their hair. They believe it strengthens their connection to, well, the divine. It's almost like an extension of their nervous system, helping them channel energy. It's really core to their spirituality.
Wow, that's a powerful image. It makes you think about that crown chakra at the top of our heads, the energy center. Could hair really be playing a part in that? It's definitely interesting to think about.
It is, but it's important to remember there are other perspectives too. For example, Buddhist monks, they have a totally different approach.
Yeah. In Buddhism, shaving your head isn't about like boosting your connection to the universe. It's about letting go. It symbolizes detachment from worldly things, from your ego, even from how you look.
Exactly. It's an act of surrender, basically,
Yeah.
showing humility and a commitment to something bigger than the material world. So on one hand, you have connection through growing your hair, and on the other, liberation through cutting it. How can both of those be true?
That's a great question. It makes you think that the reasons behind a haircut could be just as important as the haircut itself. It's not just about style, it's about the meaning, the intention behind it, right?
You got it. Intention is huge. It can completely change the meaning of things, especially when it comes to something like hair that already has so much symbolism attached to it. And speaking of different perspectives, there are Native American cultures. They offer a really fascinating way to view all of this.
Definitely. Our source talks about how in these traditions, they see hair as a part of you, a part of your spirit, and it's connected to who you are and how you feel.
Yeah, and it can be shown in different ways, like some Native American tribes cut their hair as part of rituals for mourning, symbolizing the release of grief. It's like cutting ties to the past, a powerful way to deal with loss.
But then you have warriors who grow their hair long as a
Uh-huh.
symbol of strength, of connection to the land, almost like a statement of their power and who they are.
It is, and really highlights how hair isn't just about spirituality, but it's part of everything.
Yeah.
Emotions, social stuff, culture, the whole package.
You know, it's making me think about all those times I got a haircut after a big change in my life. Like, maybe it's not just a coincidence. Maybe, instinctively, we sense that cutting our hair can help us process things and move on. Have you ever thought about that?
It's an interesting thought, and it actually leads us to another really intriguing idea from the source. Hair as a container for memories.
Oh, yeah, that part really blew me away. Tell me more.
So in some shamanic traditions, they believe that every inch of your hair holds the energy of your experiences, like an energetic imprint. So your hair is like a record of your life. And when you cut it, you're not just changing your appearance. You might actually be releasing those memories and emotions.
Wow, so it's not just about getting rid of split ends. It could be about letting go of old baggage, too. That's a whole other level to think about.
It is. And even if you don't believe that literally the symbolic meaning is still really powerful, just imagine thinking of a haircut as a way to get rid of old patterns, negativity.
I like that. So even something as simple as a haircut can be this mindful act, if you think about it the right way.
You got it. And then there's this whole other fascinating thing. These really old ideas about hair are popping up in newer spiritual movements too. Like in the New Age movement, some people think that styling or using chemicals on your hair
Yeah.
messes with its energy.
Yeah, the source mentions that. They believe that keeping it natural keeps the good vibes flowing, like keeping that connection to something bigger than themselves.
It's like a modern twist on that old idea of hair as a spiritual antenna, isn't it? Even across different times and cultures, some of the same ideas keep coming back.
It's incredible to me that something so simple can mean so many different things to people.
Yeah.
So where do we go from here? How do we understand all of these different, sometimes opposite ideas?
That's what we're going to get into in the next part of our deep dive. But for now, I think the main thing is this. There isn't just one right answer. This connection between hair and spirituality, it's personal. There are so many different ways to think about it.
So it sounds like we all need to figure out what feels right for us, whether that's growing it long, keeping it short, or somewhere in between, and approaching it with intention.
Exactly. It's about what feels authentic to you, what fits your own journey, what feels right.
I love that. It's not about rules, it's about listening to your own intuition. But before we move on, I want to ask you, our listener, something. What does your hair represent to you? I mean, in the context of your own spiritual journey.
Take a minute to think about that. What does it mean to you? How do you feel when you get a haircut? Do you feel lighter, like a weight has been lifted? Or maybe you feel more connected to yourself?
It's something to think about as we keep exploring this topic. Let's take a short break and then we'll dive even deeper into this connection between hair and spirituality.
One thing that keeps popping up as we look at these different beliefs about hair is this idea of intention. It's like the meaning behind the action is important.
It's true. Whether someone's growing their hair to boost their spiritual connection or cutting it to let go of something, the reason why they're doing it seems to really matter.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It's not just about the physical act of cutting or growing. It's about the energy behind it.
Yeah.
It can make even a haircut into something meaningful, like a ritual.
Yeah, it's like we can find deeper meaning in everyday things, even getting a haircut. It's just about shifting your perspective a little.
Exactly. And this whole idea of intention is especially important these days, right? I mean, we're always being told how we should look. It's easy to just follow the trends without thinking about it. You know what I mean?
Totally. Sometimes I wonder if I'm even making my own choices or just doing what I'm told.
I get it. So next time you're thinking about a haircut, try this.
Mm.
Stop for a second and ask yourself why you're doing it. Are you doing it for yourself or because you feel like you have to?
Yeah, and if you feel like growing your hair long, is it because it means something to you or is it just because it's trendy?
Right. It's all about making choices that match who you are, your values. Actually, our source talks about a really helpful exercise to help you do that.
Really, what is it?
So next time you're even thinking about a haircut, you just pause and ask yourself, why? Am I just doing this for looks or is there something more behind it?
I like that. It's like turning a trip to the salon into a mini meditation session.
Yeah, exactly. Ask yourself, what are you hoping to get rid of by cutting your hair? Or what are you trying to invite in? Maybe it's letting go of old habits or negativity, or maybe it's just about starting fresh.
Wow, I never thought about it like that. It's like we have more control than we think, even when it comes to something like a haircut.
For sure. And remember, there isn't one right way to do things.
Hmm.
Some people might find a spiritual connection by growing their hair out, while others might feel more free by cutting it short. It really depends.
The important thing is that you listen to yourself.
Exactly. So let's circle back to some of those ideas we talked about earlier. Remember we were talking about how some cultures believe hair holds memories.
Oh, yeah. That was fascinating. Like every strand of hair is a little time capsule holding the energy of everything you've been through. It's amazing.
It is pretty wild to think about. Your hair almost becomes a physical record of your whole life.
I love that image. And some traditions even believe that when you cut your hair, you're releasing those memories and emotions. So it's not just about looks, it could also be about letting go of the past.
Exactly. And that really adds another layer to the whole thing. It's like a fresh start in more ways than one.
It makes you wonder if we could even be more intentional with how we cut our hair, like visualizing, letting go of negativity or bad memories as you cut each strand. What do you think?
I love that idea. Why not, right? Put some intention behind it. Even if you don't actually believe that your hair literally holds memories, the symbolism is still powerful.
It's like you're using a haircut to help you heal and grow.
Yeah. Now, let's switch gears a bit and think about that Buddhist practice we talked about earlier. Shaving your head as a way to let go and detach.
Right. It's a powerful image. It's like saying you're willing to give up your ego and live a simpler life.
Exactly. In this case, it's not about getting rid of energy or memories stored in your hair. It's about letting go of the whole idea that you are separate from everything else.
Like shedding all those labels and identities we cling to and realizing we're all connected.
Right. It's an act of surrender,
Yeah.
humility.
It's amazing how one simple thing can have so many different meanings. It really makes you think about what you believe and what's important to you.
Absolutely. There's no one right answer when it comes to hair and spirituality.
Yeah.
It's about asking yourself, what does it mean to me? Am I trying to let go of something, embrace something new, or just express myself?
And if you're growing your hair long, what does that mean to you? Is it connected to your spiritual practice, your heritage, or just feeling good about yourself?
Exactly. The important thing is to make choices that feel right to you, not just follow what everyone else is doing.
Mhm.
Now let's bring it back to today. How are these old beliefs showing up in modern spirituality?
You're talking about the New Age movement, right? Some people in that movement believe that you shouldn't style or use chemicals on your hair.
Yeah. They think that keeps the natural energy of your hair strong and keeps you connected to, well, the universe. It's similar to that old yogic idea of hair being the spiritual antenna.
It's like those old practices are coming back in new ways.
Exactly. Even if you don't follow those beliefs yourself, the idea of treating your hair with respect
Hmm.
can be a nice way to honor your body and your connection to nature.
Yeah, it's like remembering that your body is important and deserves to be taken care of.
Totally. But it's also important to remember that not everyone can grow their hair long. Some people might have health issues or cultural practices that require them to cut their hair, and some people just prefer it short.
That's a good point. It's about finding what feels right for you and not worrying about what others think.
Exactly. And that takes us back to that Zen Buddhist idea of cutting hair to let go of ego and what society tells you to do.
Mm.
It's like saying, my worth isn't based on how I look.
It's about being yourself no matter what.
Exactly. And at the
Yeah.
end of the day, that's what this whole deep dive is about.
Hmm.
Figuring out what feels right for you, making your own choices, and doing what feels right for you.
As we finish up this part, I want to encourage you to think more about your relationship with your hair. What does it mean to you? How does it connect to your own spiritual journey?
There's no right or wrong answer. The journey is what matters.
This whole conversation about hair has really made me think about how much we, I don't know, put so much emphasis on how we look.
It's true. We've been talking about all the different meanings, cultural stuff, even spiritual beliefs
Yeah.
that people associate with hair. It's kind of wild to think that something so normal can be so symbolic.
It's like we're peeling back layers and finding all these hidden beliefs about hair that we might not even know we had. Who knew there was so much to say about a haircut, right?
Yeah, it's interesting. It shows how our hair can reflect like our values, what we believe in, where we come from, even our emotions, and of course our spiritual side too.
It's like our hair is a mirror showing us different parts of ourselves.
I like that. And if we pay attention to those reflections, we can make better choices about how we want to present ourselves to the world.
So instead of just following trends or feeling like we have to look a certain way, we can ask ourselves, what do I want my hair to say about me?
Exactly. It's about making our own choices and using our appearance to express who we are.
And realizing that there's no one right way to do things. What might feel good for one person might not feel right for someone else. It's all about personal choice.
Definitely. It's about finding what feels true to you and respecting other people's choices, even if they're different from yours.
So as we finish up this deep dive, I want to leave you with a few things to think about. First, remember, your hair is part of you, but it doesn't define you.
It's an extension of you, but it's not everything you are. There's so much more to you than that.
Absolutely. Second, no matter what you do with your hair, whether you grow it, cut it, style it, or shave it all off, do it with intention. Make a choice that reflects who you are and what you believe in.
And lastly, be kind to yourself and others. There's no right way to think about hair and spirituality. The important thing is to keep an open mind, be compassionate, and be willing to consider different points of view.
I like that. So as you go about your day, take a second to appreciate your hair, feel it, look at its color, its length, and ask yourself, what does my hair mean to me? What does it tell me about myself and my own spiritual journey?
And as you think about that, remember, you are amazing, you are worthy, and you are perfect just the way you are.
Thanks for joining us on this deep dive. We'll see you next time.